Hi everyone, Dr. Dilmar here. I wanted to do a video for you as not only just an introduction, but also I've got a couple of things I wanted to go over with the class. I'll actually try to do a weekly video. I'll always have a weekly post, so it may or may not be an actual video of me talking with you, but you'll definitely always get a weekly post that kind of reviews where we're at with the class, upcoming assignments, those types of things. But I wanted to introduce myself. For those of you who were not able to make it to class last Wednesday, I know this is an online class, but I did offer if some of you wanted to come in to the face-to-face class where we went over Cengage. For those of you who didn't, I wanted you to be able to put a face to a name. So I'm Dr. Dilmar, and I'm your professor for the semester. And just wanted to tell you a little bit about me and a couple of things as far as in communication with me, and then we're going to look at some of the course assignments that I've posted. Some of this may be repetitive if you came to Wednesday night's class, so I'll try not to spend too much time on it so that, that you can get to the parts that are new or that's new information for you. So I actually live here in the Columbus, Georgia area, but I'm not originally from here. I originally am from the Savannah area. I lived there most of my life. I moved away about 10 years ago, and I've lived really all over the world. I've lived in Italy, I've lived in Northern Virginia in the DC area, a few other places in between. But I'm back here in the area. I actually work full-time at Fort Benning during the day, and so I'm an adjunct professor for Columbus Technical College, and that actually will have some impact as far as implications as far as in communication between us. So just wanted to at least let you know a little bit about myself. I live here with my husband and my two daughters. I have an 18 and a 22-year-old who are both in college as well. And so just want to jump right into the class. A few things about communication. I do try to respond to emails pretty quickly. If you don't hear from me after a few days and you really are looking for a response, you need an answer, I don't mind if you shoot me another email and say, hey, Dr. Dilmar, did you see this? Because most of the time I answer emails within 24 hours. On the weekend, Fridays for sure, like I don't take Fridays off, so I do check emails on Fridays. Sometimes I check the emails throughout the weekend, and sometimes I don't. Like this weekend, I haven't checked anything, I don't think, since Friday night. So if you sent me something since Friday night, you'll be getting a response either tonight or tomorrow. But generally, I'm pretty quick on the turnaround with those emails. So if you need an answer and you hadn't heard anything from me, you can certainly email me. I will be posting my personal email address. That's really for emergencies. So if you wanted to reach out to me because you can't come to class, if we're having a face-to-face session or something of that nature, which I guess that doesn't apply to you guys because it's a 100% online class, but I put my email out there for students for that kind of purpose. So I'm not sure really what emergency you guys would have, but you can certainly need it if you feel like it's appropriate. However, I would like you to try to use that Columbus Technical College email as best possible. I am setting up a Remind 101 account for each class that I teach, and so if you were at the class last Wednesday, you've already got the Remind 101 code, and that'll just be for little quick checks throughout the semester. I pretty much post the main stuff in the course board, but I'll use Remind 101 if you choose to get those reminders. So I'll post that code in the announcements section of the course where this video is. I'm going to change my screen right now because I just want to get into the class and some of the folders that I've set up. I want you to be able to see. So you're going to kind of see me in the corner here. What I've done is I put your course on student preview so that I can see what you can see. You can see that right here where it says announcements, this is not posted yet because I haven't finished recording it, but that announcement is going to go right here. And on the left hand side of the screen, everything's there that was there last week. Start here, that's where we've been working. You had week 1. The Cengage material was here. You'll notice that the syllabus said it was going to be there by Wednesday, and I told the students that came to the Wednesday night class that the reason I had not posted that is because I really didn't think it was fair to you guys for me to put some things in the syllabus that I might change based on some of the things going on with Cengage. So I really wanted to make sure that the first couple of weeks of school that we got Cengage going and operational and everybody was comfortable with that. And now I'll be able to post the syllabus, so that will go there. But this is the folder we've been working at right here where it says start here. So thus far, these are the assignments that you should have posted: the introduction and attendance discussion board, the week 1 graded assignments, and then you had the week 1 and 2 readings and materials. And what I explained to those of you who came to the Wednesday night class is that in every kind of module or week folder, you're going to see a folder that says graded assignments, and you're going to see one that says just the readings and materials. So you see this is red and this is black. Now, yes, you can go into Blackboard to do your graded assignments. And in fact, you have to if it's a discussion board. But for most of your assignments, you can go just into Cengage and you can work through a chapter and do those checks for understanding. So you don't have to flip back and forth between Blackboard and Cengage. I've just divided it out here so that if you're trying to kind of plan your week and you want to see, you know, what things are due, then you can see it this way. So for example, when you go into week 1 graded assignments, you'll see all of these here are from Cengage. You can click here and you can link directly to those. Or if you go here, this is all the readings. Now, they're required but not graded. They're required for your understanding. This is all the material that you will find in Cengage for every chapter. So for example, all of the chapter 15 materials are here. So this test, so test yourself chapter 15. It's not for a grade, but it's for your betterment to do that practice test, because it will help keep you on pace as you work towards the final or the midterm, for example. So, you know, in online learning, you have to kind of be accountable for some of the assignments on your own. You know, I can't test or give you an assignment for every single thing that you're assigned to read. So this folder here is what you're responsible for, the material, and that, go back here, is in the folder here. So you see, you got the graded and you've got the readings and materials. So it's important to always go to your graded folder here first so that you can make sure that you know how many assignments are due. And then now what's new here, okay, so go back over to the left, see where it says course info, start here, home, and then you got your contents and your assignments. So this is new, the content and assignments. That's where we're going to be working now. So when I go here, now you're going to see weeks 3 and 4, 5, and 6. That's what I've built out for you. Now, there's more content available in Cengage. I mean, you could work through the whole class theoretically if you look in Cengage. All of the assignments are there. All of the due dates are there. They're all updated. But in Blackboard, here's what I have laid out for you thus far. And you'll notice that in Start Here, there's week 1. But when you go back to content and assignments, then you're in week 3 and 4. So what happened to week 2? Well, remember, I was trying to get caught up with Cengage. You know, I've said this multiple times now that I wanted everybody to have their feet underneath them before we started moving in with the material. So what I've done basically is any of the due dates that were in week 2, I've condensed them into weeks 3 and 4. Excuse me. So now everything that wasn't due today, so you've done everything up till today, everything else is going to be due on February the 3rd. So now you have a couple of weeks to work on all the materials in chapters 16 through 19. And when you click on week 3 and 4, you'll see all the graded assignments and all the readings. What does it say here? Exactly what I said about, and I'm going to have this on a few folders. Probably about halfway through the course, I'll stop putting that down. But it just basically says it's probably better for you to log into Cengage if you want to go through like all of chapter 17, for example, instead of going back and forth between Blackboard. If you're in Cengage, you just go straight through chapter 17. You do all of the readings. You can see the checks for understandings that are for a grade and which ones are for practice. It's all marked clearly in Cengage. However, I have links to everything here. So if you go into graded assignments that are due on February the 3rd, then you're going to see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 checks for understanding that are due on February the 3rd. And those 5 come from chapter 16 through 19. So here is just a link to everything that's in chapters 16 through 19. So yes, you can go into Blackboard. I certainly recommend you doing that just, to get your overview for what's due for the week. But then you may want to just go back into Cengage and just keep working. Hope that makes sense. So let's go back and look. So that's weeks 3 and 4. That's everything due up to February 3rd. On February 10th, and I try to put this as in many places as possible to keep you on task. You'll see that week 5, which is February 10th, you have chapter 20 and 21. And then there's a discussion board. So let's click in. So if it's that week, you would click in here and you see graded assignments. What's due February 10th? Here's an overview. You see that it says your initial responses for your discussion board are February 7th, replies the 10th, it has your checks for understanding, and if you click in this folder, you'll see that. You'll see the discussion board and your checks for understanding. So that's one note to yourself, and this will be on the course calendar. It'll be on the course calendar, but I want to tell you as well that your discussion boards, you always have your initial post due earlier in the week, and then your replies are what's due on that Sunday. So when it says a discussion board is due on a Sunday, in this case February 10th, that doesn't mean that you can wait till February 10th to do it. Don't do that. You have to put your initial responses in because your classmates need to see those so that they can reply. And then all your required readings are here. And then we've got week 6s here, and you'll notice that, let me go back to that message so you can see that. Only 1 chapter is due this week, so some weeks are going to be a lot heavier than others. So in this case, February 17th, that week, there's only 1 chapter assigned, and so that week is a great week for you to catch up if you have late work, or work ahead so you don't have late work, or maybe even go back and reread some chapters. So for example, there's quite a few chapters between now and February 17th. So you may want to go back and start reviewing because when it comes time for your midterm and your final, that's a lot of information to retain. So on those weeks where it's not as heavy, you kind of have to pace yourself. So go into February 17th. Graded assignments, you see it says check for understanding. There's only 1 check for understanding due for a grade that week. So I'm going to go back to content and assignments. I wanted to kind of walk through these folders here so that you had an overview of how the course is going to be organized. So now what do I have to do? One, if you have any feedback from this video, like if something's still confusing to you, please let me know. You can certainly email me. But now what I'll do is, in this content and assignments folder, all the rest of the weeks are going to be built out. Like I said, everything's already in Cengage. You can log in there anytime and you can see everything that's due for the entire class. But I'll just divide it out into these folders. I'll post the syllabus and I'll post the course calendar, and it'll just be the overview of all of these assignments. Okay, so one last thing. So I've talked about how the folders are set up. The syllabus, the course calendar will be posted for you working in Cengage. There will be some lecture videos posted and some supplemental materials. The instructional videos that I post, the lectures, the supplemental materials, all of that is to help you be successful in the class. There might be, I like to give extra credit sometimes, so you get a few points extra on your final exam. I already am going to drop your 2 lowest checks for understanding assignments. That's 85% of your grade. And I dropped 2 of them, but there may be an opportunity for you to earn maybe an extra one being dropped. So look out for those videos to be posted. And they'll be in the content folder. So for example, if I were going to post a lecture and you go into week 6, then when it has readings and practice materials, inside of that you'll also see the lecture video. And so in the syllabus, a few things that'll be posted. One is pretty flexible on late work up until the end of the course. The last few weeks I can't allow for late work because, especially that last week or so, because grades are due. And there's a pretty quick turnaround on that. The first few weeks of the class I don't take off late points because everybody's getting everything situated. So I work with you, you work with me type of deal. As long as you're flexible, I'm flexible. And in the middle of the course, there'll be some times where I do maybe take off late points, but I'm more than happy to work with you. If you send me a email because you can't turn something in on time, then I'll try to work with you, especially if it's just a one-time thing. As far as in discussion boards, it's hard to do late work on that because your initial post is so important to the other people posting replies, but I'll work with you. Let's see. So for you Wednesday night folks, this is probably where all the new information will end. One last thing. So the percentage of grades, how does that work? So 85% of your grade comes from all of the daily type work, like the checks for understanding, the weekly work, your discussion boards, all of that's 85%. It's all weighed the same. And then the other 15% of your grade comes from the major assignments, which is your midterm and your final. And there's a paper that's due at the end of the class. So basically all of that comes up to 15%. Don't be worried because your midterm is not proctored. It's an online assessment. You have 2 attempts to take it. I take the highest grade and you have an unlimited amount of time. The purpose for that is really to get you to engage with the material and see what you know or don't know at that point. It's just kind of a check for yourself. And then the final, it is proctored, but I already have a repository of questions. There's like a practice final test with like 400 and something questions that you can go ahead and start taking now, and that kind of helps you practice some of the questions. It allows you to kind of know where you need to focus your energy on when you study for your final. So anyway, the major grades are 15%, daily grades are 85%. And so those of you who came to the Wednesday night class, this is probably where the new information ends. For those of you who did not come, just wanted to make sure that I told you that if you're having any problems with Cengage, to call technical support. I do give extra credit, so just be on the lookout for that. The discussion boards, it's extremely important that you review the rubrics. I went over this Wednesday night at that optional class, so I want to make sure that I go over this with you guys. So the discussion boards have a rubric. And the things I look for is not that you're just like kind of regurgitating information to me, because I don't really need you to read and then tell me what you read. That would kind of get boring to your classmates. So it's very important that you look at what the prompt is asking you to do, that you add value to the discussion, that you extend the understanding. So I'm looking to see that you provide evidence. So don't say I think. Like my opinion. I mean, you can give us what you think based on what you read or what you studied. That's different than just your uninformed opinion. I hope that makes sense. An uninformed opinion versus your reflections based on what you read is different. So make sure you're using evidence from your readings. So you might say, in our reading, such and such said blah, blah, blah. or I saw that the reading said blah, blah, blah. You know, it's really important to go back to the materials. The discussion boards are always based on something we read in class or something you were assigned to watch or read. So make sure that you refer to that. But all of that's in the rubric that's posted for the discussion board. So as long as you review the rubric, you'll be fine. But I do find that students don't either, one, read the prompt, or two, they do not use the rubric before they post. So maybe do like a self-assessment before you post your discussions. And I think that's it. I mean, this is a pretty long video. We're up to 20 minutes. These will always be a lot shorter. But I know that we needed to kind of get caught up. And so that's that. Send me an email and I'll be posting the rest of those documents in the next day or so. Have a good night.